What's up everybody, it's Drew Wilkins with Swine Bovine Barbecue, and in this video we're making a smoked then seared tomahawk ribeye. Let's get going. We have ourselves a beefy bone-in tomahawk ribeye coming in about 2.5 inches thick and 2.66 pounds. This one is a big one, and we're gonna smoke and then sear it. But first, we gotta get some seasoning on it. And to start, we're going on with a liberal amount of Diamond Crystal kosher salt. Per usual, if you're using Morton's or table salt or regular sea salt, don't go on near as heavy as this, but Diamond Crystal has smaller crystals, less salinity, and is much more forgiving. That's why I love it. Just a healthy amount of salt. This is a massive piece of meat. Our steak is nicely seasoned, so what we're gonna do now is get it in the fridge. This is actually the morning of the day that we're cooking the steak, so seasoning in the morning, cooking in the evening for dinner. And when you have a piece of meat that's this big, over 2.5 pounds, 2.5 inches thick, we want to salt the meat well in advance. Now, if you're doing a normal or smaller ribeye, like the one I did on this reverse seared ribeye, you don't need to. I seasoned it with some salt, pepper, Lowry's, reverse seared it, and it was fantastic. But a piece of meat like this, you want the salt to diffuse through the meat, and that's what we're doing by seasoning well in advance. And the salt's gonna serve a couple of purposes for us. One, instead of just being seasoned on the outside of the steak, the salt is going to diffuse into the meat, distribute evenly, thus having a salty bite throughout the steak instead of just on the crust. And it's also going to dissolve protein strands within the steak, allowing them to retain water and moisture better, thus giving us a juicier steak at the end of the cook. And we're 5 to 10 minutes post-seasoning, and the salt is already starting to pull moisture out of the steak, dissolve into it. You can't see the white granules nearly as well as you could when we were seasoning the steak. But for now, we're gonna get this on a wire rack, put it in the fridge till we're ready to cook. Right around 6.5 hours after our steak went in the fridge, it is dry brined. And you can see it looks absolutely fantastic. It takes on a deep red color. All of those salt granules are gone. They've diffused into the meat. We should be pretty well seasoned throughout. Ideally, I would have done this overnight. Didn't get around to it. So 6.5 hours is gonna have to do. But we're not gonna just season this with salt. We're also gonna add some crushed black pepper as well as some Lowry's. One of the things that salt does is dry the surface out, so we're gonna add a little olive oil just to get a little bit of tackiness so our pepper and Lowry's stick. Just gonna come over the top, a little bit of fresh cracked pepper, and then a light dusting of Lowry's. We'll pat this in, season up the other side as well as the sides, and then it's time to fire up the pit. Our pit is cruising along at 250 degrees, which is exactly where we want it, so let's get this steak on. So we're gonna let our steak go till it comes to around 120 degrees. Once it does that, we'll pull it, then we'll get to the searing part, but for now, let's go make a chimichurri. See how we did. It's delicious. An hour and 40 minutes after we started this cook, our steak has hit 125 degrees. We went to 125 is because it was a pretty slow creep up there, and I didn't think the carryover would be enough to get to medium rare if we pulled it at 120. And while I like a rare plus steak, we're aiming a little more for medium rare on this one, so I decided to go to 125 and then pull it from there. We're gonna let this rest for the next 10-15 minutes, really until it stops climbing in temp, then we'll sear it off. While it rests, let's get our other grill fired up. We're cooking on the mill scale yakitori. Used coals from the offset to fire it up. It's ripping hot. Let's get searing. Just gonna start off with a minute on each side. Once we get the crust we like, we'll be done. steak is looking absolutely fantastic. Went around 2 minutes and 15 seconds each side for the sear, flipping a couple of times in between. But man, couldn't be happier with this crust. The smell is fantastic. Lots of juices. Let's cut into it. Hold it up like this, right on this bone here. We're just gonna cut right down the middle to start. Oh baby. That is a perfect medium rare steak. Not mad about that whatsoever. Looks fantastic. Smells even better. Let's cut this spinalis off here. Cut a few bites out of it. Oh, that's gonna be incredible. Enough waiting, let's dig in. The time has come and I couldn't be more ecstatic. The steak smells absolutely fantastic. A little smoky. You can tell it was grilled at the end with the char. Without further ado, I'm going for one of these spinalis pieces. Cheers. That is absolutely fantastic. It's got a phenomenal flavor. It's got that smoke. It's there, but it's not overpowering, which is what I wanted. And my wife, who's gonna help me eat this here in a little bit, does not want it to be over smoky, and I really don't either. That's why we went between 250, 275 throughout the cook. May have spiked a little bit and dropped a little bit here or there, but nonetheless, pretty consistent temperatures throughout the cook. And you're rewarded with a steak that's got smoke flavor. It's not overly smoky. It's perfectly salty too. So you saw the amount of salt we put on in the beginning. It is not over salted. It's perfect. Lowry's adds a little bit. The black pepper adds a little bit as well. Man, fantastic flavor throughout. Let's get one of these middle slices here and dollop on some of our chimichurri. Fold it up like a little meat taco. Dig in. That's unbelievably good. You get the little bit of smoke from the steak plus the saltiness, and combine that with the fat really from the steak as well as the olive oil, the acid from the olive oil. The parsley and cilantro play so well together. Garlic, Fresno peppers, it is unbelievable. If you have not tried chimichurri before, make this your notice. Give it a shot. It's really, really good. The steak is perfectly tender as well. Obviously, spinalis pieces are gonna be very, very tender, always are. But the center, where I've got the chimichurri, it is fantastically tender as well. There is not anything wrong with this steak whatsoever. That's really all I have on this one. It's fantastic. There's not too much to say other than that. Smoke goes really, really well with this ribeye. The chimichurri adds a fantastic touch and flavor to it. Perfectly salty, little fat and acid to the mix. Man, really, really good. Definitely give this one a shot. If not the smoked and seared steak, then at least the chimichurri. This is good on really anything. Doesn't have to be a steak. But thanks for watching. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, please hit that subscribe button. Helps out a ton. Lets me know that you like what I'm doing. Continue making these videos. If you have any suggestions on what you want to see me cook next, leave it in the comments down below. But as always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.